Hey, welcome back to the Big Ranch Show. Thank you for joining me. Now, I know it's been a few weeks since I've uploaded. We had a few internet days where the internet was down during the night hours where I usually upload, and I just hadn't had a lot of stories coming through. But unfortunately, we've got a few of them now. So let's start out with this story, shall we? There is a slew of anti-trans bills going across this country right now, being pushed through the state legislatures by Republicans who don't give a damn about children or human beings or their parents for that matter. These bills are absolutely grotesque. They do nothing but harm children and harm their families. So let me start with Texas SB 1646. SB 1646, it basically aims to be able to rip children away from their parents if their parents offer their children gender-affirming treatment. Anywhere from going to a psychologist to any kind of medical treatment whatsoever, even though children will not be given gender reassignment surgery. In fact, there's another bill in Texas. Let's go with this other bill here. If that one wasn't enough for you. House Bill 1399, prohibiting liability insurance coverage for medical professionals who provide established gender-affirming medical care to transgender minors. It passed out of the Public Health Committee in Texas and heads to the full House. One Democrat actually brought up an amendment for it, trying to change it, but the amendment failed, making it just to where you could not perform any kind of genital surgery on minors, which there again generally doesn't happen in the first place. From the years that I've been keeping up with this kind of stuff and everything, especially following that jazz girl from I think it was TLC for a few years, you learn that these kids don't just go off and have a surgery. That's not how it works. There are steps. Not to mention, the body has to grow for there to be enough tissue for the doctors to do a gender reassignment surgery. Now, maybe I'm just stupid, but understanding how things work kind of helps you, in making opinions, right? I had a friend just yesterday on Facebook who I'm no longer really friends with, it doesn't appear, who told me that he doesn't care what happens when, if a person turns 18 and becomes an adult and does what they want. But he doesn't want surgeries being done to children, even though surgeries aren't generally done to children. So he continued with his hate, with his bigotry, because he doesn't understand how it works. He's never even bothered to take the time to read how any of that works. But let's look at that second one there. 1399. Basically telling doctors they cannot have medical malpractice insurance if they are offering gender-affirming treatment. And when offered the chance to add an amendment that was just going to change the bill to where you just didn't allow, genital surgeries on minors, you decide to ban that and go a step further. You block that amendment, and then you continue with this draconian pile of crap that you call legislation. SB 1646, like I said, is aimed at taking children away from gender-affirming parents by labeling them as child abusers. You got that right. Child abusers. They are labeling good parents who are just doing the best they can in the situation that they are dealing with and labeling them as child abusers, thus allowing CPS to rip their children away from them even though they're doing nothing wrong. I follow a family of a relatively well-known transgender child, Kai Shapley. And they were down in Austin testifying against these bills. And it's really sad to see because her mother posted basically discussing how the anxiety and fear that her child, let alone her, are feeling. As it is right now, if this bill passes, who's some of the first people they'll go after? That's right, the people that testified. These people are the most heartless, most disgusting people I have ever heard of in my entire life. Kimberly Shapley does the best job possible raising her children and raising her transgender daughter. Yet now they're stuck with being dealing with fear of, are they going to have to move out of the state? They already had to move once to get away from bigotry and hate. And here they are potentially having to run from an entire damn state. It's not just them, though. I guarantee you there are millions of people in Texas fearing for their lives and their livelihoods, fearing for their families and their children and being ripped away from their parents. If you don't want to think this affects children, you are completely out of your fucking mind. In Florida, they passed a law. They passed a law saying that before kids can play sports, they have to have their genitals checked by a coach or another administrator. As if that's not an overreach right there. How does that not open these children up to even further potential abuse? Trans people who do not have gender-affirming parents are more likely to commit suicide. They are more likely to be abused by other people. And it makes me absolutely sick to know that we are still dealing with this today in 2021. The last I heard, this is America. You're supposed to be free, right? In Texas, it's all about hands-off government. Of course, unless you're gay, bisexual, transgender, lesbian, unless you don't fit the Republicans' idea of what it is to be a Texan. And in which case, they will try to eradicate you via legislation. The good news is, I believe in the end, the people that are on the right side of this, those people that support these children and their parents and their families, are on the right side of history, and I believe we will win in the long run. The NCAA has come out against all these bills in all these states, saying that if you go off and have these anti-trans bills in your state, you will lose NCAA events in your state. And so I'm 100% behind the NCAA for that. But as for the rest of these bills, they're disgusting. They are the most un-American, most draconian, back-assward laws ever written. To think Texas wants to be able to rip your children away simply because you offer gender-affirming care. They want to bar doctors from medical malpractice insurance, which they have to have in the state if they provide gender-affirming care of any kind. How is this right in any way, shape, or form? I can tell you right now, if you support these kind of bills, this is not the channel for you. I really don't. I don't need you here. At the end of the day, I support these children. I support their families, and I will continue to do so. It will never change. So if that's a problem for you, please hit that little unsubscribe button and go on about your way. Anyways, if you can find a way, if you're down in Texas, contact your governor, your state representatives, your state senators, state house members. Take to the streets if you have to. But these bills need to be stopped. I don't know how, but any peaceful means necessary need to be taken, because these children cannot wait. These families cannot wait. Anyways, thank you for watching. I will keep you informed as I find out more information on these bills. And that is, I guess, where we will leave it today. But anyways, have a great day. I'll see you down the road. This has been the Big Ranch Show. I've been your host, Jacob Keck, and I'll see you down the road.